I give back because my parents taught me that it was important.
I give back in order to connect communities and create something that's bigger than the sum of its parts.
I give back because others have given to me.
I give back.
I give back.
I give back.
Hi, I'm Jessica Ryan, the founder of the Broadway Unlocked Give Back concert. And I give back because too many of my friends have been impacted by sexual assault and violent crime. So when my best friend Avery came to me and asked me to help him raise money for the Crime Victims Treatment Center, how could I say no to him and to the incredible organization that saved his life and countless others over their 40-year history? And that brings us to here. Each year, myself and Avery, directors, actors, stage managers, and countless other volunteers from the CVTC and all around the country come together for the Broadway Unlocked Give Back concert and campaign to raise funds and awareness for survivors of interpersonal violence. What started off as one tiny idea has grown into something that not one of us could have ever imagined. What was once a little tiny benefit concert downtown is now a global crowdfunding campaign and an all-star Broadway concert live streamed on YouTube, watched by people like you all around the world. And over the past 2 years alone, you've helped raise over $65,000 for organizations like the Crime Victims Treatment Center, so they can provide free treatment and therapy to survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, and interpersonal violence. You made a difference. So this year, we're doing it again, but bigger and better. Okay, so our 2016 Give Back crowdfunding goal is, drum roll please, $25,000. And as always, it will go directly to the Crime Victims Treatment Center. Ooh, but wait, there's more. We want to start speaking up for survivors everywhere, not just New York City. So, Google Fiber is helping us throw a party in Kansas City, Missouri, the night of the concert, and we're donating a portion of the proceeds to MOCSA, an organization that provides treatment and services to survivors in KC. We can't do it without you, so we're gonna make it worth your while. As thanks for giving back, we're bringing Broadway to you on YouTube, and we're gonna all get together to celebrate what we've done. You're gonna be able to watch Drew Gasparini and his band St. Adeline, Kyle Dean Massey, the writers of the upcoming Broadway show Tuck Everlasting, and more on Monday, February 22nd, streaming live on the Broadway Unlocked YouTube channel. You won't even have to leave your living room. As people who love and make theater, we have so much to give. We can stand up for survivors of assault and abuse and violence, and we can help give them a voice. It's time to give back. And whether that's $5 or $500, every little bit helps to make the world a better place for survivors.
I give back.
I give back.
I give back.
And now, it's your turn. Donate to the Broadway Unlocked Give Back campaign and join us on Monday, February 22nd, 2016 for the Give Back concert, live streamed on YouTube.
All right. Well, hi everybody. I'm Rachel Zibelman. I am a Googler here in the New York office. I wanted to introduce you all to Jessica Ryan, but before I do, just wanted to tell you a little bit about how I met Jess and how I've started working on the Broadway Unlocked project. So some of you might know about a program called G-Corps. This is an organization, it's now called Google for Nonprofit Trainers, where we work with people in the Google for Nonprofit program. We basically work with the nonprofits that use our enterprise software for free, Mail, Drive, Hangouts, all of those kinds of things. And when I was working with a nonprofit called the Crime Victims Treatment Center, I was introduced to Jess. So every year, this organization here in New York City puts on a fundraiser, and it's their largest source of private funding. And what was so interesting to me personally was that Jess wasn't just putting on a standard concert, a standard benefit gala. It was something that was interactive. It involved our Google technology. and it attracted people not just here in New York City, but all over the world. So I wanted to share Jess's story with you guys. And before I do, I just want to share with you her organization, Broadway Unlocked's mission. So live theater exists in its own particular moment and space, which means that the communities that surround it are disconnected by and large. At Broadway Unlocked, everything we do is driven by our passion to connect those communities, whether it's through original content or technology and tools. Connection and engagement is the spark of creation behind everything we dream up. Once a year, we help Broadway take over YouTube with one night of song and social responsibility called the #GiveBack Concert, a live stream interactive concert that invites our fans across the world to be part of something bigger and make a difference in their communities. Through a global online fundraising effort, as well as live events in multiple cities on the same night, Broadway Unlocked brings those who love and make theater together to raise funds and awareness for survivors of interpersonal violence. So with that, I will introduce you to Jess Ryan.
Hey guys. You did such a good job. All my drinks, all my cocktails. I almost said it's noon. It's not time for a cocktail. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate it. And when Rachel and I talked about coming here and sort of telling a story, one, we talked about my face not being up there behind me. But we just thought we might share with you how I came up with the idea to do the Broadway Unlocked concert and how it's sort of growing and evolving over time. So it kind of all starts with galas, right? So have any of you guys been to like a proper New York City gala before? Yeah. So there's like sort of this set set circumstances that make them happen really well, right? And one is you need rich people, yeah, in a gala. It works really well if there are rich people. Two, to grow the gala, oftentimes, in New York at least, it grows because the rich people have rich friends, right? And so the rich people will join an invitation committee, and they'll say, I commit to selling, 10 pairs of tickets to my friends. And that's how a gala sells out their tickets, because their friends either care about the organization or they care about being seen at the organization's event. And so it perpetuates itself. And then you get all of these people with lots of resources who really want to make a showing at the gala, and people raise a ton of money, and it works out really well. And also the third sort of like piece of these traditional gala models in terms of working really well is that the receiving organization has the resources and time to put together an event like that, right? So 5 years ago, when my friend who had received treatment at the CVTC asked me to help him raise money for the CVTC, we sort of like looked around and we found ourselves here. We're like a handful of theater people who, know we have a skill set, a talent to bring to the table to help the CVTC, but we like literally had nothing, like none of the other stuff I just described. No rich friends, no rich friends' friends, and the CVTC definitely did not have the time and resources to put an event together. It was very much like, we're gonna do what we can do for them, and that's what's gonna happen. So we put on a concert, sort of a traditional benefit concert. I don't know if you've ever been to a benefit concert. They're a little different than galas, but they're done all the time, like every Monday night, right? And someone on Broadway is doing a benefit concert. So you get all your Broadway friends together, and they get on stage, and they sing one-off songs, and it's really great. And we did fine. We raised a decent amount of money that first year. I think we raised like $28,000, which I understand is like no small amount to scoff at. And then we did it a second year, and we raised a little less actually, because people were just like not as enthused the second time around. They're the CVTC supporters. And our friends, the people we have in our networks, by and large, are not people with resources, right? They're artists. They don't have a lot of money, so they're not able to buy that $100 ticket. So after that second year, it's like, what can we do? I know we have something, right? We have a lot of resources to bring to the table. We have this incredible talent. I have been around in the theater community for a decade. I know almost everyone. Yeah, I know everyone. That sounded so dicky. But I know a lot of people. So I know I can do something, but this is not working right? It's just not quite the thing that I need in place for us to grow. And so we just sort of like had hit a brick wall at that point, which is when I started thinking about technology.
So Jess, thanks for sharing that so much. So can you just share with us a little bit what inspired you to, or sort of what inspired the use of technology for this concert?
So it was literally that brick wall, right? Like, we can't grow the way we're trying to basically recreate a format that doesn't work for us if what we're looking to do is raise more and more money every year and get more and more people aware of this cause. And so I listen to so many podcasts and I read all this tech news. I just love technology. And so I started thinking, I was like, oh, the internet. The internet is this like place where you can sort of have an uncapped, growth, I guess, in anything you want to do, really. Like the sky's the limit with that. And so I started thinking about crowdfunding first. And crowdfunding, of course, right? Like the sort of like best part of that is if you get enough people's attention, you can raise as much money as you possibly can. Through crowdfunding, it's global. It can reach people all over the world, and there isn't a cap on the amount of money. There isn't that 200-seat theater, do you know what I mean, where you can only sell so many tickets, and that's what you raise. So we started putting together this crowdfunding campaign for the CVTC, right? And we can make a great pitch video. We know how to tell a good story. We're really passionate about the cause. Crowdfunding is good. But then you start going to the next problem, which is Kickstarter, right? All the best Kickstarter products, the things that are really successful on Kickstarter are successful because there's something people actually want, which is problematic when you're talking about trying to raise funds for charity through crowdfunding, which if you take a look around is a thing that's written about quite often, right? It's that it's a little tougher to raise money for a cause through crowdfunding. So like, okay, what can we give people that they really actually want? And it's Broadway, right? There's kids all over the world that desperately want to be a part of Broadway. And the barrier to access is just really, really high. It's expensive to get here. The shows are expensive. You've got that stage door between you and your favorite performer, so you don't get any access to these people. So we can give them Broadway, right? So let's live stream this concert. Let's have the concert live in New York that we celebrate that crowdfunding with, but let's live stream it so that everybody can watch it. And then that leads to yet another challenge, which is in this sort of like day and age of tools like Periscope and Twitter and Hangouts and all this stuff, it's not enough anymore to just watch something, right? Kids, young people want to interact through technology. And that's part of the live theater experience too, right? Like it's a little bit of the heartbeat in the theater experiences. There is some kind of give and take between the audience member and the people on stage. So how can we make our own version of that with digital content? And that's where we came to the idea to use Hangouts to let fans from all across the world actually come face to face with all these Broadway people that they idolize, which is super exciting and really never has happened before, right? So that was how we got from crowdfunding to live streaming to Hangouts. And now we have like a recipe for an awesome event, right? It's really super cool. So people want to go to it. We can raise a lot of money, and we can only raise more as more and more people become aware of what we're doing. And finally, there's just sort of this what I was looking for in the first place, which is uncapped potential for growth on the event. We can just keep growing and raising more and more money, which is, I don't know, I think it's really exciting.
It's awesome. So Jess, with this live event, there's kind of three parts that you just outlined, right? There's the crowdfunding, there's live streaming, and then there's the interactive part with the Hangouts. Mm-hmm. That's a lot for one event, right?
It totally is.
So what challenges did you run into as you were coordinating all of those things?
Yeah, that's a good question. There were many, and there still continues to be many, but that's the nice thing about being a theater person is we're very scrappy, so it's fine. We just keep turning corners. But I think the biggest challenge that I ran into right off the bat was, thank God I never considered that I couldn't do this. Because if I had thought for a second when I was like, I'll live stream a show and like TV quality broadcast, and people will want to watch that. If I had ever been like, I don't know if I can do that, we wouldn't be here, that's for sure. And when I went out like it's like that lyric from Annie, like $2, you know, one bag, $2, one me, or whatever. I was like hope and a dream, and I just knew I could do this. And I like went to the first theater to talk about renting it, because I had heard they were doing some live streaming, and they were a new theater that had just opened. And they're like, oh, we're so excited about this. And then 2 days later, oh, I'm so sorry, we're just really not set up to do that. We can't do it. In fact, their particular problem was their internet speed was not high enough to really do a nice broadcast. And I was like, oh, okay. So start searching, and really, there's like not one theater in New York City that's really truly set up to TV quality broadcast internet stream, right? There's a lot of people that are using like tools like Livestream and whatever it's called, I don't know, but it's the pretty crappy quality. It just was not gonna work. And finally and this was also, by the way, before YouTube Space, New York was here, or I even knew about LA, that's for sure. So I kept looking, and I found the Green Space, which is WNYC's theater, where they do Radio Lab, the podcast Radio Lab, and all that stuff. It's down on Charlton Street. Someone pointed me in their direction, and sure enough, this is like the one theater in New York that's really set up to do this, which is a miracle, you know, that they exist, and I'm so glad. But they sort of have this 5-camera setup with live switching, and it all streams. They have their own embed player, which we used the first year, just put it on our website, and it's really beautiful. So, but that was definitely the first challenge was trying to find that TV quality broadcast. Oh, actually, you know what? We have, we're locked out, but I have a video just like really short, like 15 seconds, so you can kind of see what the broadcast looks like at the Green Space. This is one of my favorite performances. This is from last year. If you watch the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, this is Titus Burgess, who is her friend that she moves in with.
Who needs a lot of space? Who needs a lot of light? I'll get myself a chair, a pad and pen to write, a ficus for the corner, and some pictures hung just right. And I have almost everything I need.
So that's a little like glimpse at what they can do. And by the way, this is like totally not related to the talk, but that song was written for a soprano, a female soprano, and he sang it in her key. It's amazing, and I highly suggest you go to our YouTube page after this, Broadway Unlocked, and watch the whole thing because it's amazing. But yeah, so that's five stationary cameras plus one handheld camera. They got a handheld guy, and then David, they're sort of, I don't actually know what his exact title is, but he's live switching everything from the back, and that's all feeding into the stream on YouTube. Plus, we're watching that in the Green Space on widescreen TVs. There's like 5 of them, I think, set around the studio. So luckily, it came out fine. We solved that challenge.
And Jess, the content in the concert itself, can you kind of speak to that, how it's sort of customized a little bit to the space and for this kind of broadcast, the way, the size of the stage and the type of performers and that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's another, right, again, this theater, the challenge that comes with the theater is it only seats 120 people, which is like not very many for a gala event. It's fine because we have all these people watching on the internet that donate, I guess, which is nice, but also the stage is super small. As you can see, like everything's really kind of on top of each other, so we do sort of standalone performances by and large. We can't really do a lot of dance at this particular concert or anything like that. But it's really nice because, again, it looks like what you're used to seeing on TV, you know what I mean? Like a little bit of a concert. And then we play games via Hangouts with the kids that are in other cities. So like last year, I think we're doing it again this year, we played musical theater Mad Libs. So one of the writers, because we use writers and performers for this concert. So one of the writers offered up his song, and he came out and he took suggestions from the audience and from the kids on the Hangouts for adjectives and nouns and verbs and all that stuff. And then he wrote it all into his sheet music where he had marked it out. And then our friend Christopher Rice, who was in the Book of Mormon on Broadway, was such a good sport, and he came out and he got handed that piece of paper and had to sing what had just happened from the musical theater Mad Lib game, and it was really, really funny and really fun. So we do stuff like that, right, to sort of bring the kids into the Broadway world and get them face to face with them. Anything else you're thinking of in particular that you
that's it.
wanted? Yeah. And then we, of course, use the grand piano and various instruments. I think we have cello, drums, and violin this year, which is really nice. So I guess another challenge that we ended up having was with Hangouts. I basically hacked Hangouts to do what I wanted. I had been using, what was that, Google Wave? Do you remember Google Wave way back when? Yeah, I was using Wave. Like I was on one of those betas for Wave really, really early on, and then that sort of led into Hangouts. And so I've been using Hangouts for a while. So it was the first thing that I thought of to use to be able to bring kids and fans into the concert, but it like just didn't really work the way that I wanted it to, but that's okay, because again, scrappy, right? So we overcame all the challenges, but like last year before Google Plus sort of changed to what it is now, one of the things was that we had to pull the kids onto the Hangout at like 5 p.m., even though the concert didn't start at 7, and they couldn't leave, because you couldn't like leave and rejoin a Hangout at that time, I guess. And so that was A, problematic, like if someone had to use the restroom. But B, we had like a girl from South Korea on the Hangout Superfan panel who like just did not tell her parents she was up at 4 a.m. in her bedroom with her headset on doing this concert. And then there was actually a girl in London named Rachel who just flat out disappeared halfway through the Hangout. And there was a hashtag on Twitter afterwards I saw that was whatever happened to Rachel. And also never forget. So there was some challenges there, and like even this year we've run into a couple of hiccups with the producer controls that you can sort of override with Hangouts. I don't know how much you guys use Hangouts, but it does have like a separate set of producer controls, so you can live switch the Hangout. So we have this sort of Inception version of the producer controls for this, which means we've got a producer on Hangouts live switching the Hangout, and then that feeds in with those 6 cameras we were just talking about, and that all goes into David's sort of control panel, and he's live switching the Hangouts plus all his cameras. And so we were just working on everything Thursday down at the green space, and like, we couldn't assign producer controls, like something wasn't working. So there's just sort of like always little hiccups, but so far we've managed to find workarounds for all of them, and we just continue to use and abuse Hangouts to our own purposes. Yeah, and then I guess the last thing, we were talking about this the other day, in terms of challenges, is explaining tech to theater people. It's impossible. It's just impossible. Like, the first year, someone was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this live stream concert, and it's interactive through Hangouts." And there was a lot of like, that kind of thing. And it's been sort of a long road to hoe on that. Theater people are just not super familiar with technology, and they're sort of all, Rachel has actually run into this talking to some of the potential partners that we've been working with, a lot of resistance, right?
Yeah, you get a lot of sort of skepticism. Once you put Broadway in front of it, it sort of antiquates it. You get a lot of different statements around the skepticism there.
Yeah, and there's a huge amount of issues with licensing, right? Whereas the recording industry in general has sort of figured out, for better or for worse, how to license for streaming. Broadway not only has not quite figured it out, but like doesn't want to let it happen. I'm speaking probably out of turn for a very large swath of people. It's probably not true for everyone, but there is some resistance for it. So one of the reasons that this has been successful is because I come from inside the theater community, and I have a lot of friends who are contemporary musical theater writers, which means they're right in that like 21 to 40-year-old age range. And that's really helpful because they are young enough to understand the value of not stonewalling their IP for internet usage. They get it. And then when you combine that with the fact that I come to them and they know I'm not trying to screw them, that I just want to find a way for all of us to figure out how to get this amazing content on the internet. And then the last piece is that it's a charity event, which is sort of like perfect, right? It's an easy way to do all of this. That's how we've been able to start just dipping our toes into this theater and technology place that most people haven't gone, really. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that sort of what attracted you for Broadway Unlocked to kind of start live streaming, engaging in this technology, was the fact that you could scale. There was scale there. You could scale out the audience and the potential donor base and the viewers for potential programs in the future. So where do you see the opportunity to grow the Give Back concert and Broadway Unlocked in the future?
Well, the first thing that's exciting is that it has this sort of, cyclical nature, right? Which is that we do this thing that's never been done before, and people get excited about it. So that means we can get some traction on our own. We don't need partners. We just need like great talent that's willing to show up to this theater and do this thing. And I got to do all the work on the back end to make sure people know about it. But we can grow on our own just on the basis of that, which is nice. We're collecting, of course, people as subscribers and followers through this, right? Which starts making this valuable to partners and sponsors who can come in and give us resources we wouldn't have had and supercharge our growth with that. But also we're of value to them because now we've got a YouTube channel full of that like 18 to 34 millennial demographic that are sort of sitting in that long tail that people talk about, right? Which means it's a very niche category. It's not Ellie Goulding doing an American Express concert where there's just millions of people watching. But we've got a smaller amount of people that really care about what we're doing. And so you start looking at like podcast advertisers and stuff like that, where the conversion rate is like 6 times what it is for everybody else because it's a niche audience that cares about what they're watching and trusts the people that are talking to them. So all of a sudden, they help us grow, we continue to grow, we become more valuable for them, and that is something that just doesn't exist with like a gala concert downtown, right? That original idea that we had. So that's super exciting. Sort of like unlimited capacity for adoption of this because it's so different from anything else. And we're 3 years in, so luckily we're we're kind of like out ahead of everybody in terms of this interactivity sort of live event. And we're doing this, your password, sorry. We're doing this daily vlog, which is crazy, leading up to the concert. And I've had a bunch of our Broadway friends on, and a couple of them, we asked everybody why they give back and why they participate in this concert. And my friend Brian Loudermilk, who is a YouTube creator, they're 2 musical theater writers that have really done a great job of figuring out the internet. Brian had something really interesting to say about why he does the concert, and I swear I did not tell him to say any of this. It was all a surprise to me.
Yeah, I was going to ask Brian, what was your favorite part about the Give Back concert last year?
Honestly, having the people there from CBTC was incredible. Like, the way that they were talking about Jess and how moved they were, and the beautiful video that you made last year, Jess, where you were going around and talking to people. I found that to be really emotional and really moving, and I feel like there's a lot of, like, benefits that happen, like ostensibly to give money to an organization, but really just to like, give, out of work performers a chance to like get up on stage, and silly composers like me to like do a song and dance. And this was not that. This felt like really like custom made for how to like talk about the message of this organization. It felt really different than any other kind of concert that I've been a part of. It felt like something really, really special, and I think that having people there from the CBTC and having that video where they were speaking, I think for me that really drove it home and was really, really special.
So a big element of that is the digital piece, right? I can't really control what the singers decide to sing or the writers want to feature. I mean, they all know, like, please come with something that is somewhat relevant to the cause. That'd be great. But I can make all these videos with my people, my creators, that are tailor-made to the event, and that makes it, I think, I agree with Brian, I think it's really special.
Do you want to share that?
I'm biased.
That
yeah.
CBTC video
Sure.
too?
Yeah, this is really short as well, but so last year, we had been speaking at the CBTC about, so they provide free treatment and therapy and services and advocacy as well to survivors of violent crime, and we were speaking, the assistant director and I, about how everyone tends to, when they think about a place like the CBTC, be focused on sort of like the horribleness of what has happened to these people. But this place is really an incredible place of healing and hope. And I know it sounds hokey and trite, but it's so true when you walk in this building. So I just decided to make like a little 3.5-minute mini documentary about the CVTC to help people understand that message.
My name is Daniela, and I've been working in this center for 2 years now. I was having a lot of panic attacks. I was still in a relationship that was very abusive. I think at that moment it was the only option I had, because I had gone through the psychologist at courts and I didn't feel that comfortable.
The staff here, I just have to put emphasis on that, is some of the most caring and wonderful people I've ever met in my life. They were so gentle with me and patient as I had to deal with the different aspects of abuse that I had encountered.
Being in a group with other people, telling their stories was helpful. Just seeing people and their bravery helped me see myself as brave.
You guys are here to like really be of service. It's not, it means something to you, and it makes it a lot easier.
It's just been really empowering because I've seen a total shift in my environment, and a total shift in my life.
It's wonderful to be able to do that, to help people that you know who can do the same thing, and to be able to have a place that you can direct them to and know that they can get help regardless of their financial situation.
Today I feel like I really have the coping skills and the tools to be able to confront the issues that I found so difficult in the past, and not only confront them, but learn and grow from them and be able to conquer them. That's what this place has done for me.
To have the courage to get up every day and heal, knowing that I'm not alone. Yeah, it's like a community here.
You always find a smile here, and you will always find a safe place, and they will help you with no matter what you need.
I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor and I'm a thriver.
Thanks to CVTC, I'm a survivor.
I love this place, I really do. I really do. It's changed my life. It really has. It's amazing.
Yeah, so that showed during the concert last year. And there's a couple of things that I think are really neat about that. One, to Brian's point in the vlog, right, there's this culture of benefits in New York. So like performers and writers are sort of running around every Monday night at benefits. And it's just, like he was saying, it's kind of like, will you do my benefit? Yes. And they show up and they do their thing and they leave because you're just doing them every Monday. It's, you know, you want to give, but it's a lot going on. And so you sort of just show up and leave. And so this is the first time, you know, particularly for a lot of my friends who came and did this for us, someone really asked them to notice and learn about the organization and tell them why it was so impactful that they showed up to do this benefit. The other thing, just watching that, I was just thinking about it. I think it's really not. I just think it's really cool that we have, especially when we started, just no resources, and we're able to do all of this with our skills and talent as storytellers, but B, just all the technology tools that are available to us. You know, that's royalty-free music from YouTube. And that's like, we can spread the word by being smart about our keywords, you know, and on our YouTube page. And it's pretty incredible for people, I guess, particularly for us in theater, who again exist in this particular moment and time and space, and it's there and then it's gone and you don't scale it and you don't, I don't know. It's just, this is the fact that we can make these things and get them out with very little resources is really exciting to me, I think.
Yeah, I think it's pretty incredible that you were able to put such a high quality video together, you know, with the limited resources that you had, and scrap it together, and it really makes such an impact when you watch it every time. So beyond Broadway Unlocked, I guess you mentioned this time and space aspect of live theater, and the resistance issue that you're running into in the industry. Where do you see the future of kind of this fusion of live theater and technology going? Do you see it going beyond just the Give Back concert and the other couple of instances that you've run into?
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing a lot of change in our industry, particularly like in the content making on stage, right? There's really cool things going on with using apps during the show. Not a lot. It's sporadic, but it's happening, which I think is really exciting. There's also like lots of cool stuff happening with projection mapping, which if you're not familiar with it, you should definitely look at some YouTube videos. It's really cool. But for us, I think we're largely dreaming and imagining of A, technology that doesn't exist right now that can connect these communities, B, with live streaming and high-speed internet on both sides of the stream for affordable arts education to come out of New York to the rest of the world, because it's performative in nature, it's active. But if you don't have that high-speed internet on one side or the other of the live stream, then you kind of got to just talk, to the person. But when you have high-speed internet on both sides, then you can start actually having a moment just like you would in a classroom or in a studio here in New York. And we all know there's not a lot of money kicking around for arts education in the United States, so the idea that we can push that out in an affordable way, I think, is so exciting. I spent a lot of time thinking about that. And then, like we were talking about before, the idea that we can help be a part of leading the charge in sort of a sea change in terms of licensing and the way that musical theater content can be used on the internet. We are some of the best storytellers in the entire world, and I sit in the morning and I look through all my YouTube subscriptions and there's all these vloggers and content makers, and we're just missing. We're missing from all of that because there are all these restrictions on the usage from the union and from the licensing. All make a lot of sense. There's got to be a way to find something new so that we aren't missing from that sort of, group of creators on the internet.
Awesome. So last question, and then we'll kick it to Q&A.
Okay.
What are you most excited about for this year's concert?
The answer to that is super easy. It's the partnership with Google Fiber we have. Google Fiber started in my hometown, which is sort of fortuitous, Kansas City, Missouri. And so we were having brunch one day last spring, and I was like talking about high-speed internet on both sides of the live stream. And we're like, oh, why don't we pitch Google Fiber? And so we did, and they said, yes, we want to do this with you. I asked if we could host a live stream watch party. Initially just with the idea that they could participate like those kids on the Hangout, right? And we could show off the power of high-speed internet and what it does to transform a live stream. Because another problem with the Hangout with the kids last year from all around the world is that their internet wasn't very fast. So we were working with about a 20-second sound delay in the theater, and also like a lot of blips and pulls and pushes in their stream. It just wasn't great. It was awesome and neat and new and fine, but it wasn't perfect. And so what we thought we could do with fiber, and actually have just a test from the other day, has actually happened. When you look at this stream, that's their wide.
Yep. So first shot from the Logitech handheld, 2 from the back, and then a final thing with 8 people smushed together with the audience kind of in the background.
Yeah, I like that.
So there's almost no delay at all. We think it's like a quarter of a second, which is really exciting. And so what came out of that is that this year at the concert, we are going to, for the first time, do a split city performance where a song is going to start being performed in Kansas City and end in New York City, which I'm so super excited about for a multitude of reasons. And it's actually going to work, which is just insane to me. Yeah.
How are we going to handle the latency between that? Are they going to play live in the same location?
Nope, we're not overlapping any sound. So there's still like a Hangouts like sound interface, challenge. So we're gonna totally have the first verse, first chorus. All the sound will be feeding from Kansas City, and we're actually as opposed to it usually goes right into the second verse, but we're gonna end the musical phrase, give it over to New York, and then start fresh there. So it's like there's still some stuff to do. They were actually telling me the Hangout ladies in Kansas City, the Fiber ladies, that they tried to do a Tri-City choir thing because we live in this place. It's like Independence, Lee Summit, and Blue Springs, which are all suburbs of Kansas City. And so they tried to put 3 choirs together from the schools. She said they had people in there working for 2 weeks to try to, I guess, basically override the sound stuff. It just didn't work. But this is plenty good. Baby steps always. It's and it's something I'm really excited about. And hopefully we'll, down the line as things keep evolving with this interface, particularly maybe for an enterprise version or performative based, maybe we'll get something down the road that'll let us actually overlap stuff and do it at the same time. But I guess another really important answer to a question in terms of why fiber is exciting is that we can make it matter locally, right? Because when we started doing this, it's great with crowdfunding, the whole globe can get involved, but why do they care about this organization in New York City that's raising, that's only treating people in New York City? And so what's really exciting about this is now we can beta basically having local watch parties, and we're giving a portion of the proceeds to an organization in Kansas City that serves a similar mission, which we're able to do because the CVTC is sort of, anyway, the pivot point nationally for organizations like this. They've been around the longest, they do the most work legislatively, so they know everybody. And so I think that's really exciting because now we're really starting to gather people all over, make them care, and impact their communities. Yeah.
Well, do you guys have any questions for Jess? Yeah?
Yeah.
Is the Broadway Unlocked brand only associated with the annual concert? And if so, are there plans to expand it to other events or something else throughout the year?
Yeah, this totally happened backwards, right? Had the Give Back concert idea and was like, okay, well, we got to call it something. Well, and it wasn't called the Give Back, just a concert idea. What are we going to call it? Oh, we'll call it Broadway Unlocked. Great. So then in first year, it was just Broadway Unlocked concert. And then an ex-boyfriend of mine who was not good for much, but was good for, he said after the concert, he was like, I think there's something else here. You should think about it. I think there's more you can do with this. And so that's what's happened over the last 3 years is a lot of fine-tuning what exactly it is in a bigger sense that we're doing through this Give Back concert, and developing other projects during the whole year that are more on the for-profit side of things, although probably really somewhere in between, in the B Corp area of things. That we can do. So we are working on a piece of technology right now, and we've been in development with a couple writers for a YouTube series. We haven't been able to make it happen yet because of union issues. So we're just trying to work around it and stuff. Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, it was just the Give Back concert, and now it is more than that, or hopefully going to be more than that. It's growing that way.
Maybe one last question then. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about who's performing this year and, just some excitement for the concert to look forward to?
Yeah, I'm really excited. The first year that we did this, when it wasn't Broadway Unlocked, it was just a benefit concert. We literally chased people down the street. No joke, Melissa Errico was on 8th Avenue. I don't know if you're watching Billions on Showtime, because she's been on the last couple of episodes. She was on 8th Avenue, she's won a Tony. And my friend Danny went running after her and was like, please, please, will you do this benefit concert? It's for an amazing cause. And so somehow in the last 4 years, we built something that seems to be of value to everyone involved, which is really nice. So this year, we've got an incredible lineup. We've got Kyle Dean Massey, who is on Nashville. He's the boyfriend of the main gay character in Nashville. Ali Stroker, which I'm really excited about. She won the Glee project, I believe, and she was on Glee for a little bit, and then she's been in Spring Awakening on the revival that just closed. And she is the first actor on Broadway that's in a wheelchair. And my friend Bobby has been writing a musical for her. So he's going to debut one of the songs from it. I'm really excited about that. I just got back from London because somehow we got wrapped up with this musical theater boy band called Calabro. They won Britain's Got Talent. And they are starting to tour the US, and they're amazing. And they're like, we want to do this concert. This is awesome. So I went to London, and we just filmed a digital segment with them, actually, at Essential Music, which is the BBC's recording studio over there that they do a lot of their stuff at. So that's awesome. They're going to be in the concert. Taylor Louderman, who was Wendy in Peter Pan Live, is going to be in the show. And there's just a whole swath of other people. It's going to be pretty amazing, and it's an excellent crossover between theater people and internet TV film people, right? We're just trying to find the middle ground there. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. It's Monday night, February 22nd. So yeah. Thanks, Rachel. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.